Hotamaki, appointment of Reserve Appellate Judge Kronk Warner, MEDC Grant Fraser Dock waiver, Huntington National Bank agreement waiver. And then under budgets, we have SIE enhancement acceptance of grant, MEDC 3 Mile project, GLRI travel initiative, culture camp, health center x-ray, PHN, Newberry, Escanaba clinics, and then we have committee requests, and then I do have an add-on I'll ask without objection after we approve the agenda.
Motion to approve as read.
There's a motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Without objection, I'd like to ask that we suspend the rules to add the upcap letter of intent.
Motion. Second.
No, it was without objection.
Without objection, sorry.
Hearing no objection. Lots of support.
Motion to excuse Kathy.
Second.
Yeah, we have a motion to excuse Kathy, medical reason. Second. You get the second.
I've got Denny.
Danny and who? Darcy.
I wonder if they're a little bit different. What is this?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Okay, minutes for March 8th and March 29th.
Motion to approve both sets of minutes.
Second.
Motion and support. Any additions, deletions, or corrections?
I've got, DJ did have a correction, and I've got his.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? One abstention?
Staying on the 29th.
Motion carries. Okay, next is partial waiver of convictions for Mr. Christian T. Gregory.
Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors pursuant to Tribal Code Chapter 76 grants a partial waiver to Mr. Christian T. Gregory for the convictions of misdemeanor controlled substance use of marijuana in January of 2016.
Second.
Should be easy. Okay, we have a motion and support. And John?
John Boyette, General Counsel, filling in for the tribal prosecutor on this. Mr. Christian Gregory is a young tribal member, recently graduated from high school. Would like to get a gaming license, but is precluded because of a conviction for possession of marijuana. This past January, he appeared before the board for a hearing last week, explained that he had been in a car with friends. The car had been stopped, a search was conducted. The owner of the car, the driver, apparently had marijuana stashed in the car. Mr. Gregory had not been using it, but because he was in the car, was charged and convicted of possession. So he's asking for a partial waiver. As you know, this does not eliminate the offense from his record. It merely removes the bar that would otherwise prevent him from having a gaming license. The prosecutor has reviewed the application, contacted the judges, sentencing judge, not received any objection, and the prosecutor has recommended that the waiver, that the young man qualifies for the waiver and that he be granted.
Okay, are there questions? Again, this was already, he showed at a hearing for this purpose, and he's not required to be here tonight. So there was a motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carries. We start tonight with 111. Okay, approving contract Stewart and Sheridan PLC.
Resolved that the Board of Directors hereby approves the contract between the Sioux St. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians and Stewart and Sheridan PLC ending December 31st, 2016 for the purpose of providing legal services to the tribe.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and support. And John, you got this one?
Yes, this is a legal contract. The real estate division has had a long-time contract with an attorney on the west end of the service area in the Marquette area to handle the occasional legal matters that arise in connection with the properties out there, usually landlord-tenant matters. Unfortunately, the attorney who had worked for the tribe for many years on these cases passed away last year, and it was therefore necessary to find a replacement. They have located the firm of Stewart and Sheridan, which has agreed to take it on. This is already in the budget, so it doesn't require any change to the budget, but it is an important role because these cases have to be handled by attorneys.
Okay, and there was a motion to support. Is there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carries. Next is compensation of appellate judges.
Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors approves a continued monthly stipend for each regular appellate court judge of $200 per month, for an annualized amount of $12,000. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors approves hourly compensation for attorney judges for actual time spent working on cases at the rate of $150 per hour billed and $75 per hour for actual travel time up to 5 hours per day. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors approves hourly compensation for lay judges for actual time spent working on cases at the rate of $40 per hour, billed plus $20 per hour for actual time travel up to 5 hours per day. Be it further resolved that these provisions shall be retroactive to January 1st, 2016. Be it finally resolved that the court administrator is directed to bring an appropriate budget modification before the board to seek approval of any additional funds necessary to fully implement this resolution.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
Second.
Motion and second.
Motion to table to the next workshop.
Second.
There's a motion and support to table this to the next workshop. So we have to vote on it. So, you got DJ in place. All right, so on the motion to table, without objection, we'll have a roll call.
Lana.
No.
DJ.
Yes.
Keith.
No.
Kim.
Yes.
Catherine.
No.
Denny.
No.
Denise.
Yes.
Bridget.
No.
Darcy.
Yes.
Jennifer.
No.
Motion denied.
Okay, John.
This is a resolution that would adjust a compensation for our Court of Appeals judges. Since at least 2005, when the board adopted Resolution 2005-114, the tribe has paid a monthly stipend of $200 per judge to each of the 5 judges on the court. That includes 2 lawyer judges, 3 non-lawyer judges. Our court is comprised of a mixture of lawyers, non-lawyers. The non-lawyers include at least 1 elder. So all of them receive a $200 a month stipend as compensation for their administrative work, but only the lawyers are paid for their professional time. The lawyers receive $150 per hour for actual professional work done on the cases, researching, writing, working on opinions, and so on. The lay judges receive no compensation for their time. The lawyers also receive half of that rate, in other words, $75 an hour for their travel time, up to 5 hours a day. Non-lawyer judges receive no compensation for their travel time. This resolution would equalize that to some extent by providing that the non-lawyer judges would be compensated for their time spent actually working on cases at the rate of $40 per hour, and for their travel time at half that rate, $20 per hour. And would also require the court administrator to bring forward a budget mod, because this would have a budget impact for the court.
Okay. DJ.
Couple things. First, the court. This comes out of the court's budget. The court's not here.
That's correct.
Second, the numbers, the hourly rate, arbitrary. There's no actual rhyme nor reason as to where those numbers came from. They're fillers, correct? There's nothing that substantiates what the hourly rate is from. Not payscale.com or any kind of evaluation, it's just there.
There is not an objective standard, no.
So it's just a made up number.
It's a number that was proposed as being reasonable, and I think the notion was that it would be better than 0.
And it's retroactive.
The resolution provides that the payments would be retroactive to January 1 of this year.
Anybody know what that expense is?
I do not. We'd have to ask the court. There've been several appeals cases, but there would be some significant expense for the last 4.5 months. Yes.
So first, this will require a future budget mod,
Yeah, it'll be
Yes.
required to come back.
and second, this will require 7 to amend something previously adopted, correct?
Yes.
No,
Because
No.
This one won't.
you're amending a previously adopted
Actually,
resolution.
actually, yes. Because it's the mod would for sure, but the rates were set before by this board, so this would be amending the previous rate set by the board.
My view would be that it is within the prerogative of the chair to rule. I think an argument could be made that this supplements rather than amends. The prior resolution provided specifically for compensation. It said, it was affirmative. It said that attorney judges will get $150 an hour, they'll get $75 for travel. It provided that all of the 5 regular judges would get a stipend of $200. It didn't address one way or the other. It didn't prohibit compensation for lay judges. It didn't provide for compensation. So the question is whether now coming in and supplementing it, this resolution, the first 2 resolves basically reiterate the prior resolution. They don't change it. The second 2 resolves add to it. I think
Which
it's
means
within the
that
prerogative
amends
of
it.
the chair to rule whether that requires
Added to
a
it.
positive.
Yeah, I would have to rule it amends it.
Right.
Yeah. Denise?
Well, whose resolution was this? Because I didn't, Denny, you did it? So, and the tribal court wasn't workshopped at the tribal court? They were involved or had any
There was,
discussion?
yes, there was.
Yes, it was workshop, and the tribal court administrator participated in drafting this. We worked closely.
No,
When was
no, it's, let's go backwards. So this is an issue that has been brought to the attention of the board for several months ago, and some have said, address it. Then, when we had the interviews a couple weeks ago, we had talked about addressing it. And so what John did was he took both of those conversations and brought a proposal for the board to address it. So it's up to the board to decide to do it or not to do it. And the administrator for the court was part of the conversation about doing something, because it took some board members as a surprise that the judges, the lay judges, don't get travel. So that might be one distinction over the fee, but they don't.
If that's a separate, you could do a resolution to just get mileage.
You're right, you're right.
Well, committees
You're
get
right.
travel.
So that might be a distinction.
It's all this other.
Yeah, I think that.
But you're right, we haven't specifically workshopped it, so.
Right, and I think the travel, I mean, that should be automatic, they should get that. But, and I was wondering who came up with the amounts, the compensation? You did, John, or you're saying the court had it?
The resolution was requested by Director McKelvey, and we worked out an amount in discussion with Director McKelvey.
Okay, so the legal and Denny court was involved in that then, right?
The court administrator was part of the conversation. Denny took it from that conversation
Okay.
to draft up a solution to that ongoing issue of the travel. The additional piece is the compensation.
Yes,
Yeah.
and once we had the resolution drafted in rough form, we went back to the court administrator, solicited input, and then finalized it and circulated it to the full board.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, in our packet, we didn't see this before, this resolution, is what I'm saying, because, and I don't know if you guys workshopped it this morning, because I was late getting here, but was the court in that here then this morning? It
No,
was
John
just
said he was
Okay.
representing for him.
And the only reason for that was I talked with Tracy last night, and because the board meeting was out of town, because this, there really did seem to be anything that she needed to be here for, and I simply volunteered to try to cover it since I had to be here anyway.
Well, I don't think that the judge would have been the one to do it anyway, because she would recuse herself from it.
Tracy.
Oh, Tracy, okay, all right.
Yeah?
I'm
Oh,
sure.
hold on, Jennifer, then Catherine.
My questions have already been asked.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know if you can motion again, but since there wasn't a time certain, motion to table to the next board meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second to table to the next board meeting. So hopefully we would workshop it with.
Hopefully we'll workshop it and answer the questions that were brought up, and also have, since you've made a ruling on the amendment, I think that that's a prudent thing to do at this moment.
Okay, so motion to table till the next meeting. Without objection, we'll have a roll call.
Denny,
No.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Bridget,
No.
Darcy,
Yes.
Catherine,
Yes.
Keith?
No.
Denise,
Yes.
Lana, DJ,
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next is appointment of Carrie Wichman as appellate judge.
Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors hereby appoints Carrie Wichman to serve as an attorney judge for the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians Court of Appeals for a 4-year term beginning May 17, 2016, and authorizes the chairperson or his designee to contract with her for that position. Motion.
Motion and support, John.
Our Court of Appeals currently has one vacancy in the two attorney judge positions, and that is the position of Judge Kronk Warner, whose term ended about 2 weeks ago, and who has asked not to be considered as a full-time regular court member because of pressing duties in her full-time career as an educator out of state. So we posted the position among the applicants, and we had an interview panel pursuant to the statute appointed by the chair. And we interviewed a number of folks, including Carrie Wichman. The panel unanimously determined that Ms. Wichman Wichman, I guess it is the best qualified of the applicants for the position. She is a Sioux Tribe member, has a bachelor's from Davenport University in 2001, master's in public administration from Western Michigan, and a JD from MSU College of Law. She worked as a tribal court administrator for the Pokagon tribe from 2002 to 2005, an administrative assistant for the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Western District of Michigan from 2005 through 2008, and is currently an attorney with the Rosette Law Firm, where she has risen to the position of managing partner in the last year. The Rosette firm specializes in Indian law and in representations of tribes in several states. Her role is here in Michigan. Ms. Wichman is currently serving as a reserve judge, having been appointed to that capacity by this board a couple of months ago. And it is the recommendation of the interview committee that she be appointed to fill the current vacancy now as a regular attorney judge.
Lana.
Who was on the committee for the?
The committee was Chairperson Payment, Director McKelvey, Director Hoffman, the court administrator, and myself.
Okay. And then as a reserved, are you?
I was making a point, I tried to get out of it.
Oh, okay. As a reserve appellate judge, will they at least get mileage?
She would be moved up to being a regular judge.
Okay.
And the answer to that is no. Currently and historically, the court has not reimbursed expenses. It pays attorneys for their travel time, sort of an indirect compensation for expenses, but not for their actual travel.
So she'll travel hundreds of miles and not get paid any mileage?
That can happen, yes. But
The court is able to do phone through phone.
particularly,
But that's not my question. My question was, will she get paid mileage with what we have existing right now?
no, she will not.
Okay.
That is an issue that we've raised with the court and expect to bring a proposal to the board in the near future to deal with that issue. But currently, and for at least the past 10 years, there has been no approved budget for mileage. The only expenses, payments to the judges are the stipends that go to regular judges, both attorney judges and lay judges, and the hourly wage payments, if you will, that go to attorney judges.
And travel time.
No specific payment for expenses.
So she will get the $200 stipend.
She would receive a $200 stipend, and she would receive payment by the hour for time spent actually working on cases.
So the only ones that don't get any mileage are the lay judges, the lay elder judges.
None of the judges receive mileage.
Okay.
No, they get the 70.
But they get a stipend.
They get a stipend for their travel. If the lawyer judges get a stipend for their travel time, and in effect that becomes compensation. I mean, they can use that to pay for the gasoline, I guess.
Right.
Technically, they're being reimbursed for their travel time, not for their travel expenses. And that is typical, I can tell you, in
It's
the law
flat.
profession.
$75
If the tribe hires outside counsel from, say, Detroit, lawyer will typically
I
charge.
can't hear you, John.
It is typical in the practice of law that if the tribe, for example, were to hire an out-of-town lawyer, say from Detroit, the lawyer would typically charge for their time to travel up here, generally at half their regular hourly rate. They would charge their hourly rate for the time spent directly working with us on the case. And in addition, they would charge actual expenses for their travel, mileage, hotel, airplane, per diem for meals, and so on. Under our current system, for at least the last 10 years, the court has not had any funds or provisions for reimbursing travel expenses. The closest we come is that with attorney judges, we reimburse them at half their hourly rate for the time spent in traveling, up to a maximum of 5 hours per day.
So $75 an hour for up to 5 hours.
That's
Yes.
more than mileage should be.
Right, absolutely,
Way more.
absolutely, and I'm not done yet. So, with all that being said, and I knew all that, I wanted those facts out there. And the other fact I did want out there is I don't really necessarily agree with that previous resolution that we just brought up, the way it's written. But my point is, the only ones that don't get any compensation, not even gas money to get to the court, is the lay judges.
Well, specifically, it would be the reserve
Okay.
lay judge.
And we have 2 of them,
Currently. Under the
and they're
code-
elders.
Yes, under the code, the tribe has 5 Court of Appeals judges. Usually 2 of those are lawyers. In addition, the code provides that the board can appoint any number of reserve judges. The reserve judges then step up to hear cases if and when one of the 5 regular judges has a conflict or a schedule conflict, or for some reason cannot sit on a particular case. We've had occasion to call on reserve judges fairly often of late because the court has been a little busier than usual. So
And we
it's
don't
been-
give them even mileage to get there.
So you know what, this is
I'm
a
just
good.
making a point.
It is, but
It's
it's
a good
probably
point.
not germane to the
That's fine.
resolution. But I
That's
do
why I could
think,
hardly hear anyway with
Yeah.
the talking down there.
I do think we'll get to it when we get to the table issue, because we should look at that, because the fee might be, and so I'm now falling for it myself. So it's not germane to the appointment of Carrie Wichman as an appellate judge.
But I needed the facts on what her compensation
yeah.
would be, and I got that.
And I allowed it fully, but it's not germane, so.
Like I said, I could hardly hear.
Orders of the day?
Yeah. Okay, so any other discussion on the appointment of Carrie Wichman as the appellate judge? Without objection, question from comment?
Where is she from?
I think she said originally, her family's originally from Sugar Island, but I think she said Kalamazoo or Battle Creek. I think.
Her law office is in Paw Paw, Michigan, which is near Kalamazoo, west of Kalamazoo.
I know that this board isn't independently, or the court's not independently wealthy, so this should have went through workshop and should have been looked at.
So this is just the appointment of her as
I know
the
that.
judge.
Actually,
And we have and here's the other issue, is that we have to make an appointment of a judge because the other judge, his term expired, and we reasonably argue that they should fulfill the existing cases they were on, but Kronk cannot take a new case. So we don't have a chief judge right now, an acting chief judge, whatever she was, and we're short.
Is she related to anybody on the board?
Several of us.
Not me.
I acknowledge she's descended from the Joseph family, but we're probably like 6th or 7th cousins.
She's my cousin.
Mine
Yep.
too.
Shouldn't you abstain from voting if you're?
Is she like a 6th cousin? Would that make a difference?
Well,
I
ask
don't
yourself-
know her
ask yourself
personally.
that, don't ask
No,
me
then
that.
I don't
I'm
think
just
it would.
saying that.
I've actually, just to be clear, I brought that up earlier because
Yeah.
I've only met her once.
Well, I
Twice.
noticed
I've-
that when
I think I met
Lana
her
voted
once.
on the judge, should stay and your father's on there, so.
Well, I think that's a little closer than sixth cousin.
Okay,
Well, maybe it's just because of Kim.
are
It is for
there,
him.
It is for me or further.
I think I'm closer than he is.
okay,
Actually, I think it's sixth.
yeah, so without objection, we'll have a roll call.
Darcy,
No.
DJ,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
But
Denise,
Bud is third.
No.
Keith,
Yes.
Lana,
I abstain.
Denny,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Catherine.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, next is appointment of Carrie Wichtman, Chief Judge of the Appellate Court.
Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors hereby appoints Carrie Wichman as Chief Judge of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians Court of Appeals for a term coextensive with her term as a Judge of the Court of Appeals, beginning May 17, 2016. Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and support. John?
The tribal code covering the Court of Appeals provides that the board is to appoint from among the 5 judges a chief judge. And historically, the board has typically appointed one of the lawyer judges to that position. With Ms. Wichman's, with the termination of Judge Cronk-Warner's term, Judge Cronk-Warner had been appointed for a term ending 4 years ago, has been acting chief judge, but there is no chief judge at this time. It was the recommendation of the selection committee, and it is the recommendation of the court administrator, and the other judges, that Judge Wichman, who's been working as a reserve judge, has now been appointed as a regular judge, be appointed as the chief judge. This is on the recommendation in part of the outgoing former chief judge, and I would point out that Carrie Wichman would be the only attorney judge on the court right now who is a tribal member.
Motion. Second.
It's already, we already got it.
All right, Darcy, then Lena.
My question, John, is, you said we'd be without a judge. So, in the past, we were able to request judges, so are we able to request a judge to visiting judge to fill this? Let's say if this wasn't filled. Typically, we've obviously probably been in a situation, or other tribes have. What do we do in the past?
So typically, the code provides that the board can appoint reserve judges who are then sort of on tap. We have them, in effect, the court administrator has them on reserve in the event that we need another judge to fill out a panel of 5. That's not the issue with this appointment, however. We just appointed Judge Wichman as a regular judge, so that regular judge position vacancy has been filled. Now the issue is that the code requires the board to designate one of the 5 judges as chief judge. The job of the chief judge is to sort of take responsibility for the administrative oversight of the court, schedule the conferences. That judge is the one that sort of takes charge of the hearings and plays the role much as the chair of a committee would do in sort of running the court sessions. And that's the position that is at issue right now.
John, the only thing what you said I don't think is correct is I don't know that we've done visiting judges for the appellate judges.
No, that's what I'm saying. We have reserve judges, not visiting judges.
Okay, so just to make it
Yeah,
clear.
that's why I was asking the question.
Yeah, we haven't used visiting judges. We've only used visiting judges at the trial court level.
So
Okay.
in the trial court, we don't have a provision for reserve judges. We just have a judge.
Yeah.
But in the Court of Appeals, the code specifically provides that the board may appoint reserve judges.
Right.
We have several.
Right.
In fact, we have a couple of proposed appointments tonight as
Yeah.
reserves.
Okay, Lena.
Well, actually, I'm gonna abstain on this too, because it is my cousin. But I can't think of a better person. I know her, not on a very personal level, but on a professional level. I watched her at a law conference present. I've seen her speak and present at board meetings and ask questions, lots of questions. I know she comes high regard from the committee as a whole. I think I've seen some statements from the chairman. So if she was not my cousin, I would absolutely support this, but I will abstain and let it see where it lays, but I think she's gonna be an asset to that court. So I did wanna say that. I felt I should have said that last time, or in the last resolution, but I think that's a good choice, but I will abstain.
Any other questions and comments? John?
Just, if I may, I should have said this when the first resolution was up, but I had the opportunity in a recent case. I don't often appear in the tribal court as general counsel, but I did about a month ago, and I think I've communicated this to the board previously, but I was extremely impressed with Judge Wichman in that case. She asked intelligent questions. She clearly had read the brief. She understood the issues, and what was more important was that I had the distinct sense that she not only understood the issues before the court, but the implications of those issues, their significance for the tribe and its government. I didn't come away from that hearing with any clear sense of who was going to win, but I came away with a strong confidence that whatever decision the court made, I felt that it would be a well-reasoned, thoughtful, and well-done opinion. And in fact, I think in the end, when the case came out, it was. So I was personally very enthusiastic about her, and I think the tribe should be proud of this young woman.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, without objection, we'll have a roll call.
Bridget,
Yes.
Lana,
Abstain.
DJ,
Yep.
Darcy,
No.
Kim,
Yes.
Catherine,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Denise,
No.
Keith,
Yes.
Denny,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, next is appointment of Jared Allen Blair Hothamaker.
Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors hereby appoints Jared Allen Blair Hatamaki to serve as a reserve attorney judge for the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians Court of Appeals for a 4-year term beginning May 17, 2016, and authorizes the chairperson or his designee to contract with him for that position.
Motion. Second.
We have a motion and support. John?
So Mr. Hatamaki is a tribal member, one of the applicants for this last opening on the court. He has a bachelor's from Saginaw Valley State University, a JD from the University of Arizona Rogers College of Law, and a Master of Law from McGill University. He's worked as a legislative assistant for Congressman John Conyers for about 5 years, as a contract attorney for the Native American Rights Fund in 2008. Has worked as an advisor to the United States Environmental Protection Agency's Office of Enforcement and Compliance Assurance for 8 years, and just recently was appointed Special Assistant to the Office of the Administrator in the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. This is a young man that actually got through college on a Sioux Tribe scholarship in part. And again, I think the committee was very impressed with the young man. The only real downside that we saw is that he is in Washington. Now, we've actually had regular judges. With Judge Cronk Warner used to have to travel here as a regular judge from Kansas for when we had in-person hearings. This would be, what we're proposing is merely an appointment as a reserve judge. In that capacity, he might be called upon, might not, depending on need. But we have to say that the committee found him extremely impressive, and the committee unanimously recommended that while we thought Attorney Wichman should be given the regular position, that we would be remiss not to invite him to serve as a reserve judge. The tribe has a great need for reserve judges. The need is particularly strong during election cycles. Because election cases have to be resolved very quickly. There isn't time to search around and find fill judge positions that are vacant if we don't have one. These are cases that typically have to be heard within days. And so the committee has recommended that Mr. Hatamaki be offered an appointment as a reserve attorney judge.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, any comments? Without objections coming from the audience.
Hatamaki, that's a different name. John, is that same John Conyers whose wife went to federal prison that he worked for?
I don't know, I think that's, oh, you're right.
Thank you. Thought so.
Yeah, he worked for Conyers. I double checked to see if it was overlapped with my testimony in the House in 2008, and it did. He was gone before that.
What is that?
Congressman Conyers' wife, I think her
I don't
ex-wife,
forget.
she was indicted and I think she did do jail time, but that's her, not
That was a
Conyers and
federal
not,
employee.
yeah.
It's all about ethics, sir.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, ethics.
Okay,
It's, point of information, I thought you said he was a federal employee.
Yes.
Okay, well,
This was
they follow
previous-
under federal employee labor laws and things, not congressional and political appointments.
Background.
yeah.
Am I missing something?
Denny had some.
The service he had with Representative Conyers was in 1999 through 2004.
Yeah.
Quite a long time ago.
Okay, Denny. Oh, okay. Without objection, we'll have a roll call.
Lana,
Yes.
Yes.
DJ, Keith,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Catherine,
Yes.
Denny,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Darcy,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, next is appointment of Elizabeth Kronk Warner as a reserve appellate judge.
Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors hereby appoints Elizabeth Kronk Warner to serve as a reserve attorney judge for the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians Court of Appeals for a 4-year term beginning May 17, 2016, and authorizes the chairperson or his designee to contract with her for that position.
Second.
There's a motion and support. John?
So once again, we have a very impressively qualified Sioux Tribe member, Elizabeth Kronk Warner. He has a bachelor's from Cornell, a JD from the University of Michigan, worked as an associate for a couple of different DC law firms, and then took an assistant professorship at the University of Montana School of Law, and then on to become an assistant professor at the Texas Tech University School of Law. And she currently is on the faculty of the University of Kansas School of Law since 2012 through the present, and just recently was assuming the position of dean of that program. She has been a regular attorney judge on our Court of Appeals for 8 years, and was the chief judge for the first 4 of those years, acting chief judge for the second 4. But her last term expired, and she indicated that given the press of her teaching career back in Kansas, she thought it prudent to let somebody else step up and take the full-time regular position, but she believes in service to the tribe, and she would like to remain available to us as a reserve judge in the event she is needed. The committee recommended, with one abstention, that she be appointed to that position.
Okay, questions or comments? Hearing none, without objection, we'll have a roll call vote.
Denny,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Darcy,
No.
Catherine,
Yes.
Keith,
Yes.
Denise,
No.
Lana,
Yes.
DJ,
Yes.
Kim. Yes. Motion carries.
Okay, next is waiver of sovereign immunity and consent to waiver of tribal court jurisdiction for MEDC grant for Fraser Dock.
Are these in the right sequence?
What did I screw up? Oh, I'm sorry.
Somebody put the one on there?
No, that is. No, this is right. It's after the next one. Yeah, yeah, that would be upcat. But this one, and then Huntington National Agreement, and then upcat. Okay, I'm gonna ask that we waive the reading and dispense directly with the explanation. Hearing no objection.
We need a motion then.
Ferg, you need? Motion and support.
What was it for?
John, so we have a motion and support. So now go ahead.
The tribe has obtained a $200,000 grant from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation to apply towards the construction work needed at the Fraser Dock in order to get it together and suitable for fishing. As is normal in these situations, the state is prepared to provide the money to the tribe, but wants a waiver of immunity, basically to assure that the state has recourse if the tribe were to use the money for some purpose not provided in the grant. This is typical of grants. So this is a very routine waiver.
Yeah. And we workshopped it previously. Are there any questions or comments? DJ.
This isn't the swap thing?
This one, no, this is to use the MEDC funds as,
I'm
yeah.
gonna ask that again, so just making sure on this one.
Okay, any other? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Next is limited waiver of sovereign immunity and consent to waiver of travel court jurisdiction credit agreement with the Huntington National Bank authorization to enter into agreements.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and support, I'd like to ask that we waive the reading. Thank you very much. And John, is it John or?
Bill.
Oh, Bill. Bill's pointing over to Tom. Tom, we just workshopped this, so.
Yeah, this resolution will authorize the chair and CFO to execute the necessary documents with the EPA Harbor project as required by the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality permit process. DEQ requires a $58,000 letter of credit to secure